Well, hello, everybody. Today we have with us Nancy Grayson, who is the president of the Horizon Community Funds. Nancy, your group has been doing some great things this past couple of years. And with this pandemic, one of the big things is really pulling together resources for the community and deploying them. So jump right in and tell us about what's going on.
Well, it's been my privilege to be running this new community foundation for Northern Kentucky. We've been around, as you know, for around 3 years now. We launched in 2017, and I can assure you, as everyone else in the community, we were all rather taken aback when this situation hit. But this is the perfect role for a community foundation. For those who maybe are following along who aren't as familiar with community foundations, we're a public charity, and we gather resources, financial and otherwise, to help support the charitable needs of Northern Kentucky, which for us is Boone, Kenton, and Campbell County. So that's 400,000 people that we're supporting. But when this particular crisis hit, we decided we needed to do more for Northern Kentucky on our own. And so we launched the Horizon Northern Kentucky Coronavirus Relief Fund, which is gaining a lot of speed. And I'm pleased to share we're over $2.1 million at this point in time with funds raised in this short period of time.
And so these are new dollars that people have stepped up, organizations have stepped up to donate so that you can deploy them in a real strategic way, is the hope.
Yes.
I think you've already started to do that. So tell us about how much you've been deploying and where that's been going.
Sure. Well, we've been very intentional. We see ourselves as, fiduciaries of these dollars that people have trusted with us to deploy in the best possible manner. We really want to target those individuals and families that are struggling as a result of this crisis. So we wanted to make sure that we gathered good data on the front end when making decisions. And I have a great team of fellow fund partners, the R.C. Durr Foundation, the Butler Foundation, United Way, who are working with us to look at what the needs are. And so as of this date, we've granted out over $425,000. We want to be wise with where we are deploying those funds. And for the first few weeks, we knew we'd really need to focus on looking at essential needs for our neighbors in need. So this really entails a lot of providing of food, of personal hygiene supplies, cleaning supplies, and also transportation and delivery methods. We know transportation is tricky, and especially if you're a senior or a family who's really struggling, it's important to have access to those needs. So we've been funding a wide variety of organizations. Our largest grant to date was $200,000 to Meals on Wheels, supporting all of the different organizations that may have clients who are seniors, who are really not able to get out of their house because of health protocols, and also just to make sure that they stay safe at home. The next largest grant that we gave out was $150,000. And this is a great story. It goes to Be Concerned, but really they are serving as a backbone organization with at least 20 other food pantries, the school districts, other nonprofit organizations who are partnering with them, such as Learning Grove and others, just to be able to access the food and the personal hygiene supplies that they need in order to support their own particular clients or those that they're serving. So we really like this collaboration that's emerging, and I'm hoping this is a model that will stay true for years to come, because our region really needs that ability to work together.
So would you say it's fair to say that, the idea of these new dollars coming into this effort, they've tried to not move away other work, but it's really to fill in the gaps and really fill in the immediate need. And I think you point out this issue with seniors who really shouldn't be leaving their homes and maybe not having family who can bring food in or what have you. That immediate need, you were able to deploy that is absolutely amazing. And then the other side of it, they have food that's being brought in for those who can produce it themselves and come and pick it up and make it all under one spot. It just makes so much sense for Northern Kentucky. And you kind of referred to, the new foundation that is Horizon, right? But you partnered with other existing foundations also to even get more of an exponential benefit, right? So maybe you talk a little bit about that.
Sure. I think from the outset, it was very important for our Council of Trustees and others who are partnering with us as donors to make sure that we're aligned. We've never really had a centralized way of thinking about charitable efforts in Northern Kentucky. It's been done well in many cases, supporting particular efforts that might be piecemeal or a bit siloed. So this has been a way for our community to come together and stand shoulder to shoulder with one another to really help our Northern Kentucky needs, which do look a little different sometimes than the Greater Cincinnati region. So what we like about it is that these funds are staying local, they're staying in the community, and we're able to partner with many other generous private foundations, corporate foundations, businesses, small businesses, young professionals, young families. So we want to make sure that we're staying nimble and efficient, but at the same time that we're really keeping an ear to the ground to hear what those needs are. And in fact, we were able to gather a group of volunteers together in our first few years called the Horizon Community Accelerator. And that group of people said, we may not be doing professionally on a day-to-day basis something to address the situation, but in our volunteer capacity, we really want to learn about a particular issue, and they chose homelessness as an issue they wanted to focus on. So by doing activities and gatherings and opportunities for learning like that in the community, it's really allowed us and our board to make better decisions because we're hearing about what the community needs the most during these times.
And there are lots of places for people to engage. They could reach out to you and obviously be a part of that effort. But if people wanted to make a donation, they can of course do, support United Way. They can support other organizations. How would someone reach out? And would it make sense if I had X number of dollars personally that I thought I wanted to get 5 times benefit out of it to the community? How would I do that with Horizon? And is that something you would accept?
Absolutely. Yes. And so obviously the easiest way in these days is to log on to our website, www.horizonfunds.org. And we can talk about really what the goals are of each individual, if they're giving or if it's an organization or a group that like to come together. We're very tailored. And so we can be as specific as helping someone leverage further community support for a particular program. We partner with a lot of nonprofit organizations for directed funds. They're called designated funds for NKU or St. Elizabeth. Redwood has a fund with us. The Carnegie has a fund with us. So we look at what is the goal of each individual donor, and then how do we pull those resources together to maximize that dollar. So much as we're doing with our COVID relief fund, when we're thinking about what resources are available, if it's public dollars through the government, if it is other matching dollars from other generous donors in the community, or even a corporate effort, we can make sure that we're aligned and that we can really help take that dollar that's invested with us to go even further in the community. So you can set up funds with us, you can give to a fund that exists, you can create something new. Oftentimes people like to give in groups, so we can do giving circles. It's a very tailored approach. I think it's like having your own charitable concierge is the best way to describe it.
That's a fantastic recap of that. And really to end on this, I mean, one of the other benefits of it, and you just kind of alluded to it, is these partnerships that are in alignment maybe like never before. Do you want to speak to that as we try and get through this effort in the community? Speak to the partnerships you've been forming.
Happy to talk about it. There are a lot of other groups that are trying to address these needs, and we certainly don't want to duplicate. And so it's very important for us to have these relationships and to hear what one another are doing so that we're better aligned. One great example is that we're working with not only Youth United Way, but also Greater Cincinnati Foundation on their larger regional effort, which supports Cincinnati and Indiana and Northern Kentucky. And how do we maintain that communication so that we're not at odds with one another or over investing in a certain area? We really want to make sure that we're partnering together and leveraging one another's dollars, which we've been able to do successfully with a myriad of groups that we're partnering with. So we're grateful for R.C. Durr Foundation, the Butler Foundation, other foundations such as Fisher Homes, also the Dries Foundation. There are just so many that we're really grateful to be partners with, and so that we're able to stay in communication with one another and talk about really what the needs are and how can we support one another in giving.
Well, Nancy, I appreciate the time, and more importantly, thanks for the whole organization. You guys continue to kind of pay it forward and make an impact in Northern Kentucky. So thank you so much.
Thank you.